budget. But then, of course, I want to manifest that I join the manifestation of my idol, Senator Rapi Tulfo, in our concern about the integrity of our irrigation projects. Dito, ang laki ng binubuhos kasi sa NIA to support the production of basically rice production. Basically, ang sinusuportahan ito. Tama po ba ako, ma'am?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes,
And not only the budget has gone up and down, even its administration and supervision is now back after being shifted from DA to OP
Back.
and then back to DA. And now I believe it's under OP. Is that correct, Administrator?
Nabasa nyo na naman yung, yung first question ko. Mr. President, nasagot na po yung first question ko kaya hindi ko pa tinatanong, Mr. President. So now,
Creepy minority
yes,
leader.
yun po yun, yung placement niya sa government organization. Now, it's back to OP. Sige pa. Ito lang po napansin ko, Mr. President. Okay. 2025 NEP. Therefore, President's recommended budget level po ito ng kanyang agency directly under the Office of the President, 42.5 billion pesos. Is that correct? That's correct?
Yes, that's
okay.
correct.
Our committee report, which the sponsor is now defending, the level of the budget for NIA is 41.4 billion pesos. Is that also correct?
No.
That's not correct.
I think we've made some adjustments.
What is it, ma'am?
And yes, it started at 42 billion with a NEP. And thereafter, lump sums were added in the Congress. And also in the NEP, at the same time as they added, they also removed from the NEP the assistance to farmers, the heavy equipment, and locally funded projects. What we did in the Senate version is firstly delete all the lump sums because I believe, as Senator Tulfo highlighted, that this is the source of confusion and potential corruption because there are no line items, there is no identification of individual projects or even their location. So as a result, the subcommittee deleted 51.135 billion worth of lump sum increases in pump irrigation, communal irrigation, national system irrigation. So nagtanggal po ako na napakalaking halaga. Pero at the same time, which ended up in the budget being 41 billion as the minority leader cited earlier. Yun yung mga tinanggal ko yung lump sums first.
Correct.
But
Plus,
thereafter, we also restored 6.135 billion. And this has to do with the farmers' assistance, the heavy equipment, locally funded, and so on, bringing us to 6.135 billion, or now a new total of 47.558 billion. Sorry for the confusion, but
Correct,
I
thank
felt
you.
compelled to remove the lump sum.
yes, so, okay, so, yung locally funded, which are projects, which are found in the NEP, which we also restored, coming from the GAB, we restored it. Ano po yun? Because locally funded means yung source of funds lang, but it doesn't give us a hint of what these are, di ba? What is the nature of the project?
Yes, among the locally funded, 6.1 billion are the pump irrigation, the heavy equipment, the contract farming, or farmer subsidy, and then Libang River Irrigation, Agusan Sur, Lower Apayao in Apayao, Maridagao, Kadingilan Irrigation, Bukidnon, Balog-Balog, unfortunately, Phase 2 of Tarlac.
Yun,
the one
magkano yun? Sample?
That's the 221 million po.
Tama.
We restored it because we have to start Phase 2 urgently, no matter what. And that became 6.1 billion. This is what we restored from the House version, which was deleted. by GAB.
Oo nga, but yun na nga, which we find unusual or intriguing because the House deleted around 6 billion, tama ba? Around 6
Yes,
billion,
that's correct.
and yet ended up being 53 billion pesos more than the NEP level. So,
That is
kung,
correct.
kung nagbawas sila ng 6, so they added 59 billion pesos new projects,
Yes,
new
they,
ideas.
they added 56.135 billion in lump sums po.
Oh, okay. How were these presented po?
These
How
are
one item or
one item, the biggest item is the pump irrigation sub-program of 44.385 billion. That's a single procurement contract.
pump irrigation? Okay, sige po. So,
The others are smaller, the National Irrigation Sub-Program, 4.722, and we restored some of it, and the Communal Irrigation Sub-Program, we restored also, but strictly in accordance with the NEP.
so mas naging kamuka ng
Parang pumalik po tayo sa NEP,
yes, yung
sa
Senate
totoo lang.
Committee report actually mas kamuka na ngayon siya ng NEP. Okay.
That's correct.
Correct. So,
Natatakot po ako sa lump sum.
pero can I ask Nia, itong na-prioritize na project ng House, siyempre we should also look at the the logic or the motivation or the essence of the proposal. Meron ba kayo nitong pump irrigation project na ito? Kahit wala mo na yung amount, but meron ba kayo nito?
Meron. At magandang project po yan.
Okay. Magkano po sa NEP?
Ang NEP, nasa 2 billion po.
2 billion, okay.
And it ballooned to 44.38.
44.38 pala? 4.5. Sige, okay, so 2 billion.
2 billion lang
2 billion found its way into your NEP, President's budget, under the pump irrigation project. But, during the budget call, when the NIA prepared their budget, magkano po yung amount na linagay nyo sa pump irrigation project?
Yes, the maximum requested and submitted to the DBCC was under 25 billion.
Sige, okay. Okay, speed na para lang makita ko. So, agency, you have this project, 25 billion, approved by DBM, 2 billion, found its way to NEP, 2 billion. House says 44 plus billion pesos. And then, committee report brings it back to 2 billion. 2 billion? Did we bring it back to 2 billion? When we...
Yes, that's
Yes,
correct.
okay, sige. Okay, so I think, Mr. President, more or less, I understand now the behavior of the budget of NIA. It reminds us, and buti dito po ang acting majority leader natin si Senator JV, parang DOTR budget din na parang ang layo pagdating sa GAB, ang layo niya sa President's budget. Meaning to say, parang nag-act ng executive yung yung House of Representatives na mas marami silang ideas na for execution ng executive agency na ito. So siguro kailangan lang natin ng more siguro coordination, siguro from the very start, maybe when the agency's budget is being formed or being finalized, dapat siguro may consultation. Ang layo kasi tandaan nyo, ang House, they're also district representatives of the people. So,
Yes.
Sila?
Having been member of the House for 12 years, I know the parochial concerns and the desire to perform. Pero kinabahan po ako from 2 billion naging 44.
Yes, kaya nga. So, sa point of view nila, ito po ay isang priority and flagship. Naging na priority, flagship pa kasi talagang bubuhusan ng pera, and yet from the executive processes parang hindi. So I think we need more coordination. So balik na naman tayo dun sa PLLO na kailangan maging effective na tulay. Kailangan siguro makita natin. Siguro sa next year's budget process, take into account ninyo na ang pressure sa House is 44 billion. Ibig sabihin nun, mayroong clamor. There's a clamor.
That's right.
The people's representatives on a district level, they put value dun sa project ninyo. Yun ang gusto nilang buhusan ng pera. Oh.
Which is why, for the record, Minority Leader, I think it's not too late, and I urged our Senate President as well as the Chairman of the Finance Committee that during the BICAM we can talk about these huge differences between the House version and our version so that we can come to a reasonable and enlightened compromise.
Siguro last na lang po. Can the NIA head tell us more about the pump irrigation project? Ano ba yan? Bibili ng pump?
Okay, yes, the pump irrigation project is a solar-powered irrigation project that involves drip irrigation, which is very, very important now that rain has become so sparse, or a deluge. It also allows for fertigation, which is including fertilizer in the process of irrigating your field. So it has two things. You can control the quantum of water, which is very important, particularly with El Nino, and also you can include fertilizer in the watering of your fields.
Is it a package?
It is a package.
Yes,
po.
may we know the cost of the package?
It comes to a total of 1 million per hectare. But it takes us one step further into smart farming.
Okay, so pwede natin sabihin na the desire from the House is to irrigate 44,000 hectares?
Yes, that would appear to be the case.
Okay.
And there is identified over 1 million hectares still irrigable in our territory. Mga 30% sa ating bansa ay hindi pa talagang natutubigan.
So that we will understand why, yun lang, pinapasok yun para we'll understand the thinking of the House. So, siguro this is, I think this is a legitimate subject matter for the compromise mechanism and the harmonization methods during the BICAM. No? Kasi meron naman siya talaga. It's a question of the amount lang eh. Kung how important does this project, how important is the role of this project in the overall plan of NIA as well as of the administration. Yeah.
My concern po is I've had personally as a provincial governor very poor experience in solar irrigation and pumps. I would still commit the larger amount of any budget to the big ticket items and the high dams in the larger areas. Ang problema kasi nito, yung paisa-isa. Pero maganda naman kasi immediate, hindi siya 10 years in the making at talaga namang makikinabang yung mga mambubukid kaagad-agad.
At saka, may hint of Israeli technology in the drip technology. So at any rate, we congratulate our committee chairwoman for fixing the budget of the National Irrigation Administration and then making it more understandable and then more hindi lang more understandable but more detailed kasi mas mas importante yung we avoid lump sums, we go into line item budgeting. Apa. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minority Leader, for understanding the rather drastic reduction.
Mr. President, next to interpolate is our Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Risa Ontiveros, who has some concerns on the National Commission of Senior Citizens. I move that she be recognized.
We recognize the Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Risa Ontiveros.
Standby lang yun niya. Pero yung National Senior Citizens, hindi ko pa na i-sponsor o na-endorse. Kasi pinapapospone yata ni Senate President kasabay ng DSWD bukas. Tama po ba?
Session suspended.
Regard to the flying voters, I'll just give you a brief data. In 2016, national local elections, we have a registered voters of 71,225. In 2019, national local elections, it increased to 16.50%, naging 82,977. The 2022 national local elections, it increased to 32.13% for a total of 109,640,000 voters. As compared to Pasig, ang tinaas lang ng Pasig, ang increase ng Pasig is 3.75, Mandaluyong 1.32%, Quezon City 5.55%, and in Manila 6.37%. Napakalit lang po ng bayan ng lungsod ng San Juan para magkaroon ng increase ng 32%. Doon naman sa 2018 barangay SK elections, ang registered voters po namin ay 75,037. Sa 2023 BSKE elections, it jumped to 106,823, an increase of 42.36% as compared to Pasig 9.95%, Mandaluyong 5.5%, Quezon City 14.91%, and Manila 15.86%. Bakit po ganun? This is I think for me this is highly irregular. The increase of registered voters in San Juan in the national local elections in 2022 and the barangay SK elections 2023 is highly irregular compared to the other LGUs and the national registered voters. What can we do about this, Madam Sponsor?
Yes, thank you very much, Senator and Mr. President. As in the Makati case, the Comelec decries the fact that despite the very apparent ballooning of the number of voters way past the average, the problem was that no one filed a petition for exclusion of these newly registered or transferred voters. As a result, the Comelec could not on its own remove them from the lists. That's the problem because there is in fact the case Quintos versus Comelec, wherein barangay certifications continued to be upheld as primary evidence of residency and of identity. Sana, unang-una, may nag-petition for exclusion katulad nung kaso ng Makati. Pero on its own, ang hinihiling ng Comelec base sa natuklasan ng kanilang task force, sana wag nang gamitin ang barangay certification as proof of residence. Once and for all, ipagbawal na sana yan. Yan ang hinihiling ng Comelec. At kung maari, magpasa daw ng bagong batas hinggil sa pagbabawal nito.
It is likewise the understanding of the chair that the Comelec put up a task force precisely to look into this, not only for Makati but wherever this may have occurred. Would that be correct?
Yes, that's correct. And the task force unanimous recommendation is, in fact, for barangay certifications no longer to be accepted as proof of residence. Ganito rin, tulad ng sinabi ni Senate President, ang mga pangyayari hindi lamang sa San Juan, sa Makati, kundi sa Cabanatuan, CDO at Tawi-Tawi, among others.
Well, do you think this is highly irregular? Kasi as compared to the other cities here in Metro Manila, San Juan lang, which is second to the smallest city in Metro Manila, ballooned to around 42% as compared to itong mga ibang kalapit bayan.
Tama po. At sang-ayon ang Comelec sa inyo. Kaya nga lang, wala silang kapangyarihan na magtanggal ng mga botante. Ang maari lang, may mag-file sa korte ng exclusion sa pagtanggal nitong mga ito. Ang recommendation na lamang nila, kung maari, maghahain ng kaso sa DILG laban sa mga punong barangays involved.
Oh, yes.
Na
We'll do
bigay
that.
ng bigay ng iba't ibang mga certification, nakaduda-duda naman. At tulad ng sinabi mo, ninyo, sadyang lumolobo ang numero ng botante.
And additionally, they cannot possibly fit in the area very much like what happened in Makati where they used, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Senator Binay, a singular and the same address, which would cover several hundreds of people.
Tama po yun. Talagang kababalaghan na nangyari po sa Makati. Nakita natin, binawasan ng 10 malalaking barangay, pero ang laki ng dinagdag sa botante.
You know, if these issues will not be resolved, no other candidates from other parties will never have a chance of being elected as public officials in San Juan. Laging kung sino man ang sabihin ni nung gagong mayor namin doon, yun lang ang boboto nila. Wala nang pagkakataon dahil meron sila 30,000 flying voters. O ito pa.
Mr. President,
I have
perhaps we
here.
can, with the permission,
Oh, don't strike it out.
Mr. President, perhaps we can ask the Secretariat to delete some unparliamentary remarks.
Gago talaga eh. Anyway, Mr. President,
Again.
I have here a copy of the COC of one candidate for councilor in San Juan. Ang address niya, Unit A and Domingo. Unit A and Domingo. Napakahaba po ng kalye na and Domingo. Walang building, walang
Ano, walang
number.
building, walang numero.
Walang building, walang
Ay,
numero.
masaya siya.
Ano gagawin natin dito?
O, nakatira rin po ako
tiga
sa San Juan.
ito.
Kahaba-haba ng kalsadang yan.
Hindi taga San Juan ito. Basketball player. Well, I do not have anything against basketball players as long as they are legitimate residents of San Juan. Pinununan ng basketball player yung sanggunang panlunsod sa San Juan. Hindi naman mga taga San Juan. What are we going to do with it? Dapat yung EO ng San Juan, dapat they exercise due diligence. Ba't tatanggapin itong COC na Unit A and Domingo? Anong klase ba naman to?
Ang tama po kayo. Sabi nga ng Comelec, kung maaari, unang-una, sila na mismo ang maghahain ng kaso laban sa mga punong barangays na kung ano-anong certificate of residence ang ini-issue. Pero sana po, yung mga nag-o-object sa mga numero na nakakasindak na karagdagang botante, kung maaari, mag-file din ng exclusion suit
Well, I
sa
think
ating...
somebody filed already a disqualification case against this particular candidate. I hope the Comelec will act upon it immediately para matanggal na sa balota yung pangalan itong kandidatong ito.
The understanding of the commission is that it's not a disqualification of a single candidate that has been filed or has reached them, but rather the annulment of the entire list of voters of the city of San
No,
Juan.
I think they have to check. I think somebody already filed a disqualification case
No, for the candidate,
non-resident.
distinguished sponsor, not the list, for the candidate.
for the candidate itself.
Perhaps they just received the cancellation of the COC.
Yes.
Kaya lang, nag-lapse na yung panahon, di ba? Or okay na? Okay pa?
Okay pa. dapat,
Oh, okay pa raw. Okay pa raw. Pero ang pinakamabilis at kayang-kayang gawin ng Comelec, syempre itong sa mga kapitan at sa DILG.
yes. Okay, I will adhere to it. But sana ma-action ng kaagad ng Comelec itong disqualification case against this particular candidate.
Rest assured, Senator, that the Commission will act on the disqualification case very expeditiously.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Estrada. Majority Floor Leader.
President, the minority leader is seeking the floor.
Senator Pimentel is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the permission of our sponsor.
You may proceed, sir.
Well, this will not repeat the earlier interpellation of the Deputy Minority Leader, but just to give the Comelec some practical feedback. Kasi po kami we deal with the, being candidates, we deal with the Comelec. Ngayon, example, 2 beses na po nabanggit yung sa manifestation or intervention po ni Senator Binay, Senator Jinggoy Estrada, exclusion. Sabi, file a petition for exclusion of the voter in court. Pero ang basic document kasi dyan is the voter's registration ng tao. Eh kung ang experience na ba namin, when we ask from Comelec information about the voter's registration of a person, they cite data privacy and they do not give us the basic document needed for that petition. So ako'y nag-worry lang ako na the law recognizes a citizen's or a constituent's right to file a petition for exclusion, and yet the referee in the election, the Commission on Elections, will not allow the access to that basic document you need.
Well, the Commission says that perhaps a delay or an omission occurred, but certainly with a formal request, all said information will be provided by Comelec.
No, this is a feedback actually. This is feedback based on actual experience. Denied na sa EO level, denied sa regional director, denied sa ED level. So, they have been denying it. So, ang gusto ko sabihin, instead of giving life to the remedy allowed by law, the Comelec is making it more difficult.
There apparently is a data privacy officer in Comelec, and the requests for information are filtered by him, at which said information should be provided.
That's why I'm giving you actual actual experience pa ito, actual recent experience na denied na po from the level of the EU all the way to the ED. So I think there is a precedent being cited the time ni Chairman Brillante. So siguro it's about time that you to revisit it, Mr. Chairman, and the Commission itself. Kasi unless disagree kayo sa akin that unless disagree kayo, ganito kasi pagkaintindi ko, there's a remedy, di ba? If there is someone that you want to question his or her registration as a voter, there is a remedy. Then you file in court. But what does logic tell us to be the basic document that you need? You need to allege that he registered as a voter. Pero yung mismong papeles na yun, hindi talaga binibigay. So I think Comelec has to revisit their practice, Mr. President.